Well, my friends, is Andy over at Falco Canine Academy. Oh, I didn't start my graphic in the back. I had everything going so well. And I messed it up. Oh, darn it. All right. We're going to be talking about something pretty tough today, and that has to do with making that decision to euthanize a dog, and most importantly, your dog. This question comes up a lot, and obviously, I've just been recently asked that question again, and I would say it comes up probably about once a month. Maybe a little bit more. So it's not as often as obviously, behavior issues that I get emailed about or texted about or phone calls about, but it is up there. I also get questions often about nutrition. And so over the years, I've had to learn a lot about nutrition, and I love feeding dogs raw and natural. Yesterday, during the summit, my interview was in line with another person who, talked about the aspect of feeding raw and natural. And so if you did not see that, make sure you sign up for the virtual summit. I think you still can and are able to go back and listen to some of the subject matter that was spoken by experts in the previous days. So you may still want to do that. The link can be found in one of the posts down below. If you just kind of scroll down through Falco, you'll see that there is a link that you can log into. So we'll be talking about that. This Friday, I want to remind you all also that love the sauna look. What's the sauna look? I look like I'm in a sauna? I don't know what that is. Andy, you're going to have to explain a little more. I want to go ahead and put this link in the comment section, and that is for the Train the Dog Trainer webinar that's going to be coming up on Friday. And it turns out that that's on the same date as a party was planned, apparently, at my house that I didn't know about. And so the webinar will still be good. However, there may be some partying going on in the background. Oh, the wood paneling. Well, what's wrong with my sauna look? A lot of people say they like it, and so I'm sticking with it for a while because my son and I put that together one day in the studio. Thank you, Andy. I really appreciate that. So let's get to that. But well, I was going to come on with a towel wrapped around my waist, but maybe that'll be on a future show. Andy Lockwood. Hey, if any of you, and I like to do this for especially some of my friends that I know have a particular expertise, but if you have a child coming into the college years, whether it's this year or maybe the following year, or maybe even currently, I'm not sure if they have programs that need a little help financially, look up Andy Lockwood. Do a search on Facebook and look for Andy Lockwood. Maybe you can post something. Well, that was weird. I just saw some weird thing come up. But click on his name. I'm sure you'll be able to find something in regard to his wife and he do a program that assists parents for their children that are moving into college, and how to get them, enable them to not only save money, but be able to afford to put their kids through college. As far as I understand, I've watched it a few times. I love the humor that they have there. Andy is, although not quite as funny as I am, he's fairly funny, and his wife might be even funnier than he is. So go ahead and look up Andy Lockwood. They do a great job with their program. So let's talk about this thing about euthanasia and the dog. And it really is a personal decision that each individual has to look at as far as where they are with their dog. And there's a couple reasons why you consider euthanasia, which also should be considered or should be spoken about. And one of those is obviously health, right? Some of it has to do with age, but it always has to do, is the dog healthy enough to have a good life, a comfortable life, a life that's, not only are you keeping the dog around for you, or are you keeping around the dog because he actually has a good life, and it's still, even though he has some pains and discomfort and maybe can't, maybe lost the use of his two of his limbs, or maybe he's blind or deaf or whatever the case is, how good is that life? And you really need to think about that. The other thing, another reason why people have to make a decision on euthanasia or not is aggression, right? And so that is one that I get quite often. And so there are so many factors that you need to sit down and either, if you're alone, maybe get a really close friend that it has a good grasp of this thing, and talk with them and lay it all out, and possibly write it all out and about what it is your dog is going through, some of the health issues. Well, let's first address the health issues. What is what is a good quality life for a dog? And saying for this dog, his life was, police work or detection work or some type of service, and really provided a service for me and the community or something like that. Or the pet dog, you know what he loved to do? He loved to be able to, I can tell by the way he wagged his tail and the excitement that he'd get by going to the beach or going for those walks and those hikes with me and that kind of stuff. And, putting that down and now looking, what is his life now? Is his life, considerably different? Is it, am I keeping him around just because I can't stand the thought of him not being, laying on my bed? But the pain that he's in and the discomfort he's in, he can't, I have to pick him up and lower him down to the bed. I have to carry him outside so he can go pee. And you begin to look at, the way that, what made this dog happy throughout his life against what it is that you have to do just to keep him alive. How much is it costing in medication? And I hate to say this, but you have to really consider, if you are struggling financially, is this dog breaking you financially? And people are going to argue with me, and you're more than welcome to argue with me. And you can actually come on live if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. If you want to come on live and speak about this yourself and some of the things you've been going through with your dog, click on that link. Come on with your camera and your mic, and I'll see if we can bring you up, and it'll work well enough to bring you on. But use that link that I just put in the comment section and talk about this, because financial consideration, I think, is really important. And when you're struggling financially, and I've seen people and been to homes, and I've been to places where the human beings can barely afford to put food in the refrigerator, yet they're spending, $500, $600, $700 on, medication, treatments to keep a dog alive. And the dog is 13, 14, 15 years old. And you're thinking, at what point is it just, you're keeping this dog alive for you, and you're not really taking into consideration what this dog is going through in regard to pain and discomfort and not living the life that he once loved. It's so hard because we can't speak to the dog and say, are you happy not being able to take yourself out and go pee and poop? Are you happy that you can't go on these hikes with us anymore, that I now have to leave you because I can't take you out? And the only thing I can do now is sit with you underneath a tree. Hey, Chrissy, what you keep the dog around for, maybe in some aspects, and if you look at it, if you write it all out and talk to somebody, you need to be opened up that in some aspects it's being cruel to the dog, right? And so really think about that. And I don't want to make anybody feel bad that maybe that's what they're going through now, but you have to take that into consideration. I want you to really be open up that, I am keeping this dog around just for me. And maybe putting the dog down is best for the dog and what is, most humane for that dog. You got to remember that sometimes, not sometimes, but in the wild, an animal like a wolf or a fox or some type of animal related to the dog, when they get just half as sick or half as disabled as your dog, they die fairly quickly when they get, half that sick. But remember, we're keeping them alive because we have the technology to do so. That if this dog lived in the wild, and I know they're domesticated, I know that, I even talk about, you can't compare a wolf to a dog because there's just a lot of different things, or a coyote to a dog. But just think about that if this dog did not have you around, he would have died a long time ago, right? He would have not been able to find water and food. He would not able to take care of himself. As a matter of fact, the pack probably would have taken him out, would have euthanized him based just on the cleansing the pack type of situation that comes into place. That this dog slows us down. This dog doesn't allow us to be safe. This dog is a detriment and is attracting predators because of his weaknesses. And so that dog would have been removed from the pack long ago. Right, we're keeping a dog around a lot longer simply because we have the technology and the financial ability to do so. And so when we start to look at it that way, you're thinking, wow, this dog, I think there's a little bit of cruelness that sometimes can come around, and not on purpose, by accident, because we've decided that, I just can't do it, right? I love this dog. This dog has been in the family since my son was in elementary school. Now my son's in college, and now, this dog has been through everything. They've seen everything. They've gone to places with us. They've gone to the river. They've gone to the mountains. They've, traveled with us across the United States. And now I have to make this decision not based on me, not based on what I want, not based on what my needs are, but I got to do it based on what this dog's needs are and where that falls. And that can be difficult. My dog wants to euthanize me just had his nails clipped. Right. Thank God the dogs don't get the choice to do that. And I thank you, Andy, for bringing in a little humor into what it is we're talking about. All right. So really consider that. I'll tell you, my police dog, he saved my life. I mean, you can't get any, more important. What's the word I'm looking for? Where a dog actually literally saves your life from a gunman who was getting ready to shoot me as I walked into a garage one night in Anaheim. And because of him, I'm alive today. When it comes to that time where he has spondylosis, he's urinating where he lays because he can't get up and take care of himself, and pooping where he lays because he can't get up and take care of it himself, that I have to actually carry him out for him to do that. I owe it to him for saving my life to take him and have him, cross the Rainbow Bridge. I'm trying to think of the way, to put him down and to take him out of his discomfort, to take him out of, he's just laying there he can't do anything, right? He sees the children. He sees my daughter, at that time she was 4. He sees her and he'd love to play with her, but he sees her and now he can't, right? He sees me leaving and going out and he can't follow me like he used to. He sees us going in and out of the house where he wants to kind of follow and he can't any longer. How many days does that need to go on to where you're thinking, gosh, darn it, it's time. And I had to make that decision. I give a talk and maybe I'll post it in here about that time, about that day that I had to make that decision and what we did and how I went and bought an In-N-Out burger and we sat on the grass and had lunch together just before I took him to our vet and said goodbye to him for the last time. And I give a talk on a stage about that. I'll post that link on Vimeo. But it's not easy. I'm not telling you that this is an easy decision, and I'm not saying that you're being foolish or selfish or anything. I'm just saying that sometimes we do get caught up into what it is that we want and not what is best for the dog. And that day, because he saved my life, was a decision that I had to make on that day. All right. And so it took me a while to wrestle with that and to come up with that and to really, own that was the best decision I could make for him at that time. And it was because of what he had done for me. Right. And so it needed to be done. Chrissy says we cannot be selfish when our dogs are suffering. If we've done everything possible, we could to save it. It's a sad day when we have to let go. However, we need to remember the powerful life we've provided them. He said it way better than I did with a couple typos. And Chris, yes. And I'm sorry, I'm just joking around. It's just, I'm on the verge of tears and I need something to get me off my tears. We have to remember that wonderful life that we've provided for them, that, it's just a decision that has to be made. So thank you. Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. The next thing that I've been approached with, and this is one that I've been approached with more recently, and I know we could go deeper with that one, but I think we'll leave it at that. I think Chrissy, ended it well, that particular discussion with what she wrote and really spoke to that thing. And there, we could go further and deeper and talk more about it. And I can't talk about the different diseases and things. And what if we get a hip replacement? What if they come up with a solution? What if they do? I mean, again, you're looking at costs. Is it going to be detrimental to me and my future and my children? And, what am I using that money for when in fact this dog just needs to move on? He's at a place that he's just, even with being fixed, even with a new hip, is it going to make the difference? You've got to weigh that. How old is the dog and all that kind of stuff. So we can go much further, but just take all those things in consideration. The next thing, again, and this is the one that's most recently, and it has to do with an aggressive dog. And I guess the positive side of this is that the aggressive dog is a lot older and now he's cranky, and probably even more cranky if he was or she was cranky before. And it doesn't matter if it's male or female, but if the dog is you bring a new dog into the environment, into the home, and now the dog that's been around there for years, who's now old and crotchety, is saying, "Who's this new dog coming into my space, coming in onto my, what I've considered my domain, or sleeping on my bed, or playing with my toys, or spending time with my people, right? And as you bring in a new dog, now the dynamics have changed, and now this dog that you once loved and had around for a very long time is now causing you grief, because the aggression is now becoming too much. And actually injuring the other dogs, which now can cause behavioral problems, because now this dog is in an environment where he's got to use aggression to kind of get the older dog away from him. And it just causes this whole snowball effect of like, this is not fun, right? For anybody. It's not fun for the old dog. It's not fun for the young dog. And it's not fun for the people that live there. So, this is a tough one when people ask me, should I just euthanize the old dog? And that's kind of the question, right? So, I mean, I got this 13-year-old dog who's cranky, and now, injuring this other dog and causing this other dog to act, aggressive. And this is one of those situations where you've kind of made your bed. And now I don't think the answer necessarily is euthanasia, especially if this dog is still viable, right? If the 13-year-old dog still walks around, can take himself or herself out and go pee and poop, eats well, doesn't have any major digestional problems, and things are going actually fairly well. It's not costing you a lot to keep the dog alive. You, the human being, are the one who changed the dynamic. And now it is up to you to figure out how it is that you're going to make this dynamic livable. Protecting the younger dogs from learning bad behavior and causing them to develop bad behavior because you've put them in the situation. It is an unfortunate situation, and maybe not fully thought out, or it was thought out and had no idea that this was going to happen. All the best intentions were there to bring 2 new young dogs in, or 1 young dog in, and create a family environment. But by accident, this has happened. Now, this is a tough one, right? And it's a tough one to ask me to tell you what it is that you should do, only because because I can be blunt and say, this is a situation you created, whether on purpose or by accident. My first thought is let's figure out how to make this work. And if they were customers of mine in here locally, we would say, okay, let's come in and figure out how we can make the situation better. Almost always obedience and rules and boundaries apply, where we would say, okay, you got to, even for the old dog, you got to kind of put in these new rules and boundaries that weren't present before, and figure out what those are going to be to make sure the dynamics aren't such that you have the aggression that you have now. One of these things I think is it's blocking. If a dog is blocking a doorway, the young dog is blocking a doorway, the old dog, will quickly attack and say, get out of my way. These are presumptions we're taking that's what's going on. But how do you make that not happen? How do you control that? And again, if you have created the situation as a human being, it is up to you to figure out how it is we need to change the environment so that this doesn't happen. Is crating and kenneling, have to be done. And it may have to be done. And it's only because it has to be done because you created the situation, right? You have to spend a little money on something, on fencing, on door, what are those called with children? Little gates, those baby gates, a baby gate situation to keep. Now, of course, younger dogs can probably jump over them. However, maybe you need 2 baby gates. I mean, there may be something that needs to be done to change the configuration again, because I think euthanasia for the older dog, because of a situation that was created by the human beings, is not a valid reason to euthanize the dog. And I don't agree with it. So let's see what people are saying. Chrissy, bringing in the new dog is often a challenge when introducing them to family dynamics. Yes, we need to advocate for the older dogs. Yeah. Well-being and teaching the new dog our lifestyle. I like that. I like that a lot. I am almost afraid to read it. You are my go-to guy for dead dog info. There. Andy Lockwood, you are my friend. I love you, Andy. Yes, I mean, we owe it to the old dog. The old dog has been around. The old dog has given you some of his best years, or her best years, right? And minus, I mean, other than aggression. I mean, if there's nothing more than just the aggression, no. I think the dynamics just need to be, not the dynamics, the environment needs to be created to protect the younger dogs and to give, the older dog the respect. Again, remember, Falco Canine Academy is based on love and respect. That you give the dog the respect of being the older dog, and say, I mean, if you had, say, grandma, had lived with you, this is going to be kind of backwards because, if you're bringing grandma into your house because she needs a place to live and you can't afford to take her to an old folks home and she has to live with you, and now she's cranky, but you've known her as a loving human being that has been, a solid member of your family that everybody has loved. And one of the reasons for bringing her in is because she has been a great, family member that you respect and you love, and you bring her into your house, and suddenly your environment changed. You're not going to euthanize her because she's cranky and wants to be part of all of your conversations. It's just, and it's easy for me to say because I don't have that situation, but it's one of those things like, well, okay, how do we make this work? How do we change the environment? Do we build an outhouse to put grandma in? You start thinking, now, how is it we can do this differently, right? I know when I was still married that when I was doing work at home, because my ex-wife was at home with the kids, I could leave to go to, coffee bean and tea leaf to do my work when it got too noisy and too ruckus around the house, right? And so you just figure out, how is it do we do and work around those things that are are just now part of our life, right? There's certain things that happen now because of decisions we've made. We've decided to have a kid. We've decided to and that's one of the things that I think we often get asked about also, is that now they've had a child and bringing the child into a place where they have a dog who has aggression. How is it you make this dynamic work, right? You're responsible to find a new place for that dog. You just don't kill the dog because now you brought a child into your environment. It is up to you to find a place for that new dog to go. You need to start spending some money on training to train you to how to deal with this dog in the home. Is it too dangerous for the kid to live in the home? If it is, then now it's your responsibility to find a place for that dog to go that is going to be a happy place for that dog. That is your responsibility. You just don't take it to the animal shelter, which people do, right? You've had this dog for 4 or 5 years, but now you had a kid, and now because you have a kid, now the dog ends up in the shelter, right? And I think that is a sad thing that happens all the time. I would like people to take more time to find a place for that dog that has been in this home for 4 or 5 years. And because you made the choice or by accident had a child, it's still your responsibility to find a place for that dog to go. Oh my gosh, I wish I could say your name. It sounds like a beautiful name, Bajoria Sandra. Love and respect for the oldies, the oldest dogs. Yeah. Super, super important to have that respect and that love. So I guess the answer to the question is try all you can, do all you can, the love and respect for that older dog that was there before you brought the younger dogs in. Figure out how you can change the environment. That'd be one. Is it going to be baby gates? Is it going to be a crate and kennel system and timing where you're juggling the dogs? Again, it's not fun. The solution is not always going to be simple. The solution is not always going to be one that's convenient for you. The convenient thing would have been not bring in the younger dogs, right? But because of that decision, whether again it was based on good intentions, it was based on that, hey, these 2 younger dogs didn't have a home. They were going to be euthanized if we didn't take them. Again, it's still a decision to bring those dogs in. But now because of that decision, now you have to make another decision. How is it that I make this work? And it may not be fun for a while, right? It may be a pain in the ass for a while because of the decision we made. The decision I made to get a divorce from my wife, actually I had to make that decision, but the decision we made to get a divorce is not fun, right? But I got a lot of stuff. We had a lot of stuff to decide, custody and all this kind of stuff, but that is based on a decision that had to be made, right? It's not something I wanted to do. It's not something that I set out to do, but it's one of those decisions that causes you to have to make some really, really tough decisions and really sit down and take time on something that maybe you don't have time for, but you have to make time for. So this, and again, I hate to use those comparisons, but it's really one of the things that comes to my mind right away. But it's one of those things, right? You've made the decision to bring these 2 younger dogs into the home, and now what? It's not working out. How do we make this work out? I would say, find out how to change the environment to make it so that it doesn't happen at least not as often as it is, and maybe stop completely. The next thing is, what training can we do? What boundaries and rules that we can put into place now? And you can train a 13-year-old dog. The age is not an issue. You can train a new old dog new tricks, and you can do some new things. And you're going to have to be more active in it, right? Originally, you didn't want to be more active in it, right? Originally, you just wanted it to all work out. We would love everything just to work out. I would love to have everything work out, right? But sometimes it just doesn't. And so now we have to do some things to make things different. Christy, again, another great comment. I'm sure I often bring in the new pup between 2 to 4 years of age of the older trained dog as they assist in the training of the puppy as well. Yes, that is a great comment. Yes. Dogs learn a lot from their elders. Hopefully mostly the good stuff, right? If you've done a good job in training a good solid dog, and now they're the older dog and you bring a new one in, they can learn some of the really good things, like waiting at the door and not bolting out the door, sitting and waiting for their food and giving permission to give their food, not jumping on people. All those things can be handed down from dog to dog if you do a really good job of reinforcing it and showing, great praise for the older dog. It's one of the things I do with the kids. And here we go back to, raising kids and the difference in the similarities between raising kids and training dogs is that, when one of the kids does something, really good on his own without me having to tell him, I, give him praise and say, what do you want to eat? Tonight is Rhett's night to choose where we eat, because he made a really good decision today. And the other kids go, well, I want to choose where we eat tomorrow. And then out of the blue, the next day, it's not shocking that Bo will say, we'll do something, and of course he'll cause me to notice it. Like, hey, did you see what I just did? Oh, wow, you just did that. And then I may not reward that one. Again, I even do variable reward systems with my children too. You don't want to reward them for everything because it takes away from the specialness of being rewarded. And so, but yes, I mean, it's the same thing. When you are showing, praise and acknowledgement for a job well done in front of the other children, in front of the other dogs, they go, wait, I want some of that. I like that. That feels good when somebody tells me I did a good job. That feels good when I get pat on the head. That feels good when they go to the cupboard and get that treat that I really love. And, I see them giving it to that dog for doing something. And it really does fit in well. And so, Chrissy, thank you for that. Hello, Carmen. Carmen is my sister from another completely different family, apparently, because we have the same last name. But as far as I know, we're not related. But love Carmen. She comes on and does some stuff with some other people that I know really well. So, Carmen, glad to have you here. So, and I hope I didn't go too far or too deep in that aspect of it. If when you bring the young, I guess the case for euthanasia is when this dog becomes so out of control that you just can't control him, right? Again, was the dog, controlling the aggression that it may already have had, and you were able to do it because of your training, and now because you brought the new dog in, it brought out the old aggression that you had seemingly fixed or controlled for a period of time, but now is so out of control that it's causing physical harm to the other dogs, and causing maybe physical harm to you, because now as you try to intervene, you're getting bit by the dog. When it gets to a certain level that maybe, and I'm really trying to think, would that constitute euthanasia for the older dog? But again, remember, you've created that situation based on a decision you made. You really got to think about, is there a way of changing this? Is it possible that maybe the younger dogs need to live with another family member until the older dog passes at 13 years of age? It's a German Shepherd. It's probably got a couple more years, if it's healthy, to go. Is there a family member that could take the two younger dogs? Maybe a neighbor, maybe, I don't know. Is there a friend or family, at your church or in your circle of friends that can take the dogs instead? And again, this is a decision to make. Didn't work out. I'm sorry, younger dogs, you got to go somewhere else and find that place for them. But again, it's ultimately your responsibility. I would say that it's not the older dog's responsibility. It's not his or her fault that making that decision of euthanasia because of something you created. I don't think it shows the respect for that dog that the dog deserves. And so I hope that answers the question, and I hope again I didn't offend anybody or go too far. But that's my thoughts, and you're viewing in, and you've asked me because you wanted my opinion, and so my opinion is not always the popular opinion. I got to tell you that. But to check out validity tree. We'll have to check out validity tree. Please tell me more, Carmen. Validity tree. I feel like I should probably know what that is. It's probably some dog training, a very popular dog training thing that I'm, should be aware of. Validity tree, but it sounds good. I don't know. Validity tree sounds fantastic. I'm gonna Google it while we're talking. Validity tree. Truth trees. Validity binary trees. The truth tree test for validity. It's a thing, Carmen, and I'm going to end up looking at it and seeing what that is. But if you can relate a little bit more, oops, family tree. You're talking about our last names. But there is a thing called validity tree, by the way. And I'm going to, now you've got me interested to see what that actually is, because there's write-ups about the validity tree. And so that's pretty funny. All right. So unless there's other questions or other comments, I think I covered it about as well as I can. It really, I mean, there's so many factors, right? There's so many things that, people can come to me with. I mean, even with behavior and nutrition and now euthanasia, that there's not just one. Thanks, Chrissy. There's not one solid answer, because there's so many variables, right? There's so many things. Well, are there options? Is it change of environment? Is there addition of more rules and boundaries? Is maybe some type of medication that can be used, whether it's holistic or not, that can help the situation. How much money is involved in these decisions, whether the dog is old and sickly or aggressive and wasn't before you changed the situation, right? As you have a child and bring it in the environment again, whether it was by accident or on purpose, it's not the dog's fault, right? That you got pregnant, right? The dog. And then I know the way I grew up with my dad is that the dog was just a dog, right? It was just a thing. You could throw away a dog like you could a chair if it broke. I hate to, my dad's passed away and stuff like that, and so forgive me, Dad. But there was this thought that the dog was just a dog, right? And I was not that great of, as a kid, was not that great of a dog owner. I learned and developed my dog ownership and love and respect as a police canine handler. And I can tell you that I maybe had some of my dad's thoughts as growing up as a kid and as a teenager, that picking up the poop was a pain in the butt, that it was a chore to have a dog. It wasn't fun to have a dog, right? And we as parents run into that all the time with pets, right? We want the pet and we love the thought of having a pet, but we can stand taking care of the pet, right? And so these things and these dynamics can change. But there's people that thought, well, I got the dog, I thought it was going to be good, and the dog sucks, and I'm going to take him to the shelter, right? So you got plenty of those people. We don't need more dogs in the shelter just because we made a bad decision or changed our mind about how we felt about the dog. I would tend to weigh more on, hey, listen, you've had this dog for several years. This dog, you wouldn't have this dog this long, this probably, if the dog didn't on some level make your life better. On some level, got you out of the house, so you got to exercise. When you pet the dog petting of an animal, of a dog, lowers your blood pressure. It reduces anxiety, right? It reduces depression. Having a dog around can be funny. I got the stupid cat, I say stupid in the loving way. I got the stupid cat who entertains me probably just about every day, right? I've never had a cat. Really, personally, I've never personally ever had a cat. And I have this cat for the first time. I thought I would never have a cat. This cat may be one of the most entertaining things I've ever had. I'm responsible for this cat now, right? I can't just simply take that cat to the shelter, right? I've already now had this cat for a few months. Is is just, I'm getting bored with the cat or not liking the cat, is that it's too late, right? This cat didn't have a choice, right? The cat was brought to my house because I brought him to the house. The cat didn't decide, hey, I'm gonna live with you, right? And, well, you made a bad choice, cat, get out of here, right? No, I made the choice to bring that cat in, and now it is my responsibility to, if I can no longer take care of the cat, it is my responsibility to find a home where that cat will stay, right? And that's not even a good decision, right? You want to try to make that cat, fit into your family. That's why I'm training the cat. Oh, the cat sat on command today. Like, it was the craziest thing. I said, sit, the cat sat without any food around. It was so awesome. And so we're moving on to the next phase. So I am rambling now. Oh my gosh. You know what I didn't turn on? I had made this lower third down here. Oh, look at that. And I didn't use it once. Brad made this brand new one. I like that picture. The reason I use that picture, you see that picture, none of you know what the story is, but that is a picture of me on stage giving the talk that I'm going to give, put the link in here, where I'm down on the ground feeding my dog the In-N-Out burger, and they snapped that picture as I was describing that and explaining. If you look really close, you'll see tears coming down my face. And but I like that picture because every time I look at it, that's what I think of. I'm not thinking of the authority that of me speaking on stage necessarily. The picture is good for that, right? I use it in other publicity things, that kind of stuff. But the real story is, it reminds me of that day when I kneeled down next to my dog in my front yard, next to this palm tree that I put in my front yard, and opened up the In-N-Out burger bag and the wrapper, and took it out and took little chunks and fed it to him. And talked to him and reminded him of some of the great calls we went on. He had over 72 arrests where he had to bite people. He had hundreds of thousands of dollars in narcotics currency and seizures and semi trucks and homes and boats and planes that, because of his detection ability, we were able to seize for the city of Anaheim. He found people that were lost. He found people that were hiding in places that we never would have found them if it wasn't for him. And so feeding him that In-N-Out burger that day and just talking with him about those things and the fun that we had and the times that we shared when he ate my chocolate chip cookies that my wife had made for me that I was looking forward to. And he tried to act like he didn't eat them, but yet I could see the crumbs and the chocolate on his mustache. We talked about those times, and that picture is a reenactment of that time with him on the grass in my front yard. And so that's what that picture is. And so now when you see that picture, you'll know the story and know that that's what I was talking about on that stage. And when you watch the video, you'll see that moment where I'm talking about that. In reality, I sat down next to my dog, but because of being on stage and stuff like that, I just kind of knelt down and talked about that. But that's what that picture is of that very moment. All right, so I was just kind of rambling on there to see if there was any more comments or anything like that. So really take this into consideration. The individual who messaged me, I will make sure that this. The replay of this Facebook Live is sent to them, and they can take a look at it. But that's my answer to the question that I was given, and the best I can do right now. Now I know there's going to be probably follow-up questions, and if you have any follow-up questions, make sure to just write them in the comment section here in on the Falco Canine Academy Facebook page. I would really like to sincerely ask some of you if you like what you watch here, and get anything out of it. If it's whether it's the opposite, maybe something I say, nah, Andy's not, that's not for me. What he talks about is I'm actually thinking the opposite. That's good, because I really want you to have these thought process. I want you to have your decisions based on what is I say, whether it's the opposite or for what I say. And if you're getting that and you're getting stimulated by the discussions that we're having here, if you can give us a 5-star review and say you like it, I would greatly appreciate that. What's so funny is that you can train thousands of dogs as we have here at Falco Canine Academy over the years: police dogs, bomb dogs, narcotics dogs, bed bug dogs, peanut detection dogs, service dogs, rescue dogs, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pet dogs, maybe thousands of pet dogs. We have like 2 or 3 bad reviews, and those are the ones that everybody sees. And 2 of them, I have no idea who those people are. They've never stepped 1 foot into anything related to Falco Canine Academy. I have no idea who they are. And so we've looked them up. We can't find them. And so if you would, and if you could help us with, the 2 or 3 out of the thousands of dogs that we've trained and lives we've been able to change, put something on there, that would be fantastic. Because it really seems to be those 2 or 3 negative remarks. One, I think 1 or 2 is on Yelp, and one of them is here on the Facebook page. It's kind of just well, if you looked at all the dogs we train, and people often take time to say what they don't like and don't take enough time to say what we do like. And I try to remember that if I have an interaction with somebody, I try to remember, that was really good service, or that was really good what I experienced, and that was good. I try to remember that's when I need to say something about it, right? Not always do you just say, and we can get in that bad habit, right? We talk about the things we don't like and don't talk enough about the things we do like. And I think that would be healthy for us to do that. Chrissy, I enjoy your content and expertise. Thank you for sharing so much excellent information. Thank you, Chrissy. I appreciate that very much. I enjoy seeing you on the broadcast and your comments and the thumbs up and the stuff that you do. I really do appreciate that. And Carmen, my sister from another family. It doesn't rhyme. I know, not like sister from another mister or whatever the other one is. And so I like that. I'm now going to look up, what was it? A validity tree or something like that. And because there is such a thing, and going to find out what that is. All right. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it very much. And you guys are great. I'm going to come back on a little bit later on. We're going to talk about something that came up in the Detection Dog a Facebook group a little bit later on about why dogs sometimes don't alert to things that are out in the open. So if you train a dog to find bed bugs, they almost always only alert when the bed bugs are between something or hidden, as opposed to if it was crawling on this table and the dog came up here and smelled it, quite often the dog wouldn't sit. The dog actually will walk away as if nothing's there. And so it's a really strange dynamic, but it's not as strange as you think once you start thinking about it. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. All right. Thank you for all the reactions and all the comments. I really do appreciate it. Andy Lockwood, thank you for joining me on the Falco Canine Academy Facebook page. I really enjoy it when you join, and all of our other people here that are obviously dog enthusiasts and dog trainers. I'm pretty sure, based on Chrissy, what I know about Chrissy and Carmen is that they're very active trainers and fosterers of rescue dogs and shelter dogs. So really, really good people that you need to follow if they do have some type of public page or something like that you can follow. All right. And feel free to put it in the comments. If you have a public page and you are on this and you are a trainer, I have no problem promoting other trainers. I do not mind at all. I'm not one of those trainers that try to pretend there's no other trainer on the planet. If you are a trainer and you're watching us, you got to be good. All right. All right. So go ahead and share your information and who you are. I don't care if you're your next door neighbor. All right. That is it for me. I'll talk to you later. Take care.